The SEC and Big Ten have formed their own alliance to tackle the persuasive issues in college athletics. Pressures are mounting. That's how Greg Sankey, dear leader of the SEC, said. You can explain the details. It feels to me like they're realize they are nearly out of time to present some kind of plan, and the NCAA's unwieldy nature makes their idea, the likelihood of the NCAA as an entity putting out a plan in a timely manner unlikely. So these guys are just saying someone's got to do it. We're going to do it, which should be nerve-wracking for everybody else, but not necessarily desperate. But what is going on in this, the Big Ten's new alliance, the alliance against the group that they once allianced against?
Yeah, they were very clear to me last week in talking about this, that they would like it not to be referred to as an alliance, but in many ways it is, right? And it's something that probably a lot of people saw coming for a while now, and probably this joint effort between the two leagues didn't get going earlier, maybe 2, 3, 4 years ago, is because of the leadership, right? Issues. You know, Kevin Warren, the former Big Ten commissioner, and Greg Sankey, I don't think we're on a whole lot of the same pages. And everything really did change last spring when Tony Petitti came in. As we had in our story last week, one of the first things Petitti did was take a trip to Birmingham and spend time with Greg Sankey. And then they played golf over the summer, and one thing led to another, talks here and there at CFP stuff. And all of a sudden they realized, well, we're more alike than any other two leagues. We hold, a lot of the power, authority, money. We should be talking more in a joint way. I think what exacerbated all this, because the way Greg Sankey tells it, is that this really, the plan kind of hatched only about 3 weeks ago for the specific joint effort. And it was after the NCAA convention. Which I was at. I think we did some pods maybe while we were there, and Pat was there, and it was clear. I remember Sankey left a meeting, and he just expressed a disappointment in it, but didn't get into specifics. And then last week, he kind of cleared some things up with me when I asked him why now with this. He said he left the meetings in Phoenix, having not really accomplished a whole lot, and was asked by multiple administrators, we need the SEC and Big Ten to tell us what to do and what they want. So I think that really got the ball rolling. Okay, let's just get with the Big Ten and let's see what we can do. And everything's been exacerbated by all this stuff going on, right? All these legal entanglements with the transfer policy and NIL and the House case, and trying to create a new model of athlete compensation, and then Charlie Baker's proposal. Like, all of this got to a point where it's piled on top of each other. And I think the SEC and Big Ten thought, this is the time, right? This is the time that we've got to get together. And the first priority will be coming up with a future model that can be in two ways, as we've discussed on the pod quite a bit. It can do two things. The new athlete compensation model that's created can potentially settle the House case, billions of dollars, and be codified in a settlement as the new, athlete compensation format for college athletics. And it can kind of rectify all of these other legal entanglements with the transfer policy and NIL. A lot of that can be settled with a new model. So the focus is coming up with some kind of plan, some kind of format, some kind of new model.
Yeah, I think, we'll see what they come up with and how long it takes to come up with it. And is it actually inclusive of things that are pertinent to the other conferences? Because in a college athletic landscape where nobody trusts each other, and they shouldn't trust each other, seeing the two biggest, richest conferences kind of go say, we're going to do our own little deal here should be cause for significant alarm to everybody else. That, like, is this a step towards we're leaving? Is this a step towards we are going to further distance ourselves from the other power leagues and then, of course, the leagues beyond that? Is this a step towards we don't even want to play in your basketball tournament? There may be some paranoia here, but paranoia is justified. Look what's happened. Look what these two leagues have done to destabilize the landscape. They were the ones that destroyed the Pac-12, that's the Big Ten, and destabilized the Big 12, that's the SEC. And in a landscape where everybody's out for themselves, do we trust them to be out for the greater good? Maybe they are, but if I were the other leagues, I'd be ducking right now. I would be saying, whoa, where is this going to go?
I think that fear is reasonable. I think, it would be, I think they would lose so much in the popularity of college athletics if it was all of a sudden, 30, what is it, 18 and 34 teams?
34
teams.
What
they have?
Mm-hmm.
34 teams. I don't. Could they even prohibit other people from playing? Would that make sense? You can say you're the only two that matter, but there's too much talent, right? There could be good teams outside of those leagues. One way that the NFL is able to say these are the 32 teams is this is an NFL player and anything else isn't, and there's no rival league that can compete. But in college sports, there's so many players, so many athletes in all the sports, but certainly in football, that aren't at those two leagues and won't go to those two leagues. I mean, it would take a while. So look, I'm at the Super Bowl. The two quarterbacks from Texas Tech and Iowa State. Maybe in the past they would have transferred. Like if this was now, maybe they would have transferred to somewhere in or something. But like you can still have a lot of really great talent. And I haven't looked at the roster, but I am sure there's more SEC and Big Ten players than anywhere else. But there's a lot of great players. So there's too much talent to just have 34 teams.
They got to beat up on somebody too, by the way.
They also have to beat up on somebody. Yeah, I've said this a lot. You can't go you can go 2 and whatever, 14 or 15 now in the NFL, but you get the number one pick. You don't get that. So they have to play somebody. They have to figure out how to continue to play not just group of 5 or even FCS teams, but certainly the other power, the other major leagues. So I hate being naive and being like, I don't think that they would do it because we've seen some dramatic things, but I don't think they would do it. And I also just don't think it's a business model that works. I think the blowback would be massive, as it should be. I mean, the idea that you would cut out these schools.
I agree it should be, but how many times have we said they would never, and then they did? I mean, there is no Pac-12. That's the biggest one, but other things too. So again, I'm not putting it past them. I agree that there are plenty of common sense reasons why they wouldn't. And Sankey, to me, is one of the ultimate pragmatists. I don't know Petiti well enough to know that. But still, I mean, there are decisions being made that I cannot believe have been made already. And some of them have been by these people. So